The alarm was screaming before I even opened my eyes. Red light spilled across the cargo hold, bouncing off the metal walls, and I felt the floor shudder under my claws. My name is Ashcinder, and I am 4 winters old, which for a dragon is barely old enough to be called anything but a child. I was still small enough to sleep curled in a nest of blankets instead of stone, and small enough to be afraid when the ship rocked hard to one side and sparks fell from a broken panel above me. "Debris field," came a voice through the speaker, calm but tight. "Brace yourselves, we are punching through." That voice belonged to Ellie Marsh, the woman who found me. She was not my mother. My mother was gone, buried under broken rock on a dead moon 3 systems away, killed defending a nest that could not be saved. Ellie found me alone in the ash, small and starving, hissing at anything that came near. She should have left me there. Instead, she wrapped me in her jacket and carried me onto her ship, and for 4 winters, she has never once made me feel like a mistake. The ship groaned again, metal screaming against the pressure of rocks slamming into the outer hull. I pressed myself flat against the floor, my tail wrapping tight around my own body, the way it did when I was a hatchling and frightened of the dark. Then the lights flickered, and the whole ship went silent for 1 heartbeat too long. "Ellie," I called out, my voice cracking between a growl and a child's cry. "Ellie, where are you?" Footsteps pounded down the corridor. She burst through the hold door, hair sticking to her forehead, eyes wide but steady. She always looked steady, even when I knew she was not. "I'm here," she said, dropping to her knees in front of me. "I'm here, Ash. We're clear. We made it through the field." The ship settled. The red light faded to a soft amber, and somewhere far off, the engines hummed back into their normal rhythm, low and steady like a heartbeat. I let out a breath I did not know I had been holding, smoke curling faintly from my nostrils the way it always did when fear left my body too fast. Ellie laughed, a tired, relieved sound, and sat down beside me on the cold floor. "You know," she said, "that is the 3rd meteor storm this month. I think the universe is trying to ruin my holiday plans." "Holiday?" I repeated, tasting the word. My English was still young, built from 4 years of listening to her talk to me every day like I understood everything, even when I did not. "Christmas," she said. "It's coming up. My people have this tradition. It happens on a certain day every year, no matter what else is going on in the galaxy." She smiled, though her eyes still looked tired from the storm. "You give someone something, a gift, to say you see them, that you're glad they exist." I tilted my head. Among dragons, we did not give things away. We gathered them. Every scrap of shine, every bone, every treasure we could find, became part of something called the hoard, and the hoard was guarded with tooth and claw until the day we died. Nothing left the hoard. Nothing was given away. That was the law written into every dragon's blood since before there were words for law. "Dragons do not give," I told her, honestly, because I did not yet know how to be anything but honest with her. "Dragons keep." "I know," she said softly, "but maybe you can learn something new." She reached into her jacket and pulled out a small box wrapped in red paper, covered in little drawings of trees. She held it out to me with both hands, the way you would offer something fragile, something that mattered. I stared at it. Some old instinct in the back of my skull woke up immediately, hungry and sharp. It hissed at me from somewhere deep in my bones. "Take it, guard it. It is yours now, the first piece of your hoard." I took the box in my claws, careful not to crush it, and tore through the paper the way she had shown me weeks earlier when we opened supply crates together. Inside was a pendant, small and strange, forged from a metal that shimmered faintly even in the dim light of the hold. It was shaped like a dragon, curled protectively around a tiny human figure, the 2 shapes carved so closely together that neither could exist without the other. "I had it made," Ellie said, her voice suddenly quieter. "Took me 3 ports and half my savings to find someone who could carve it right. I wanted you to have something that was just yours, something nobody gave your whole clutch 1,000 years ago, something that's just us. I held the pendant in my claws, and for one long moment, everything in me wanted to close around it and never let go. The hoarding instinct roared louder than the alarm had, louder than the meteor storm, louder than anything I had felt since the day I hatched. My mind was already building the story I would tell 1,000 years from now, when I was massive and ancient and alone on some mountain far from here. This was the first piece, given to me by the woman who found me in the dark. But then I looked past the pendant, at Ellie's hands. They were empty. She had no hoard of her own, no treasure pile, no mountain of shining things. She had a small bunk barely wide enough for her body, a single bag of worn clothes, an old photograph she rarely spoke about, and me. She had spent months of her wages on this one small gift, and she had made only one, because there was only one of me, and because giving was simply what she did, over and over, without ever asking for anything back. I thought about the meteor storm we had just survived. I thought about every night she had stayed awake when the reactor flickered, and I whimpered from dreams about the dead moon, just so I would not wake up alone in the dark. I thought about every meal she had quietly skipped so that I could have an extra ration bar during the long months when my body kept growing faster than the ship's supplies could keep up. Dragons hoard. That is what we are. That is what I had been told my whole short life by instincts older than language itself. But I did not want to be the kind of creature that took everything and gave nothing back. I did not want my hoard, whenever I finally grew large enough to have one, to be built on someone else's hunger. So I closed my claws gently around the pendant, the way she had taught me to hold anything I loved, and then I opened them again. Ash Cinder, she started, her voice catching on my name the way it did when she thought she had done something wrong. You don't have to give it back. It's yours. That's the whole point of a gift. I lowered my head toward her, the deepest gesture a dragon knows, deeper than any bow, an offering of the throat to someone who would never have to fear it. Hoard, I said slowly, choosing each word with care, is not things. Hoard is you. She went very still. I already have biggest hoard, I continued. You, guarding me guarding you. This. I nudged the pendant gently back toward her chest with my snout. You keep. When I am big. Too big for this ship. Too big for your arms to hold. You still have proof that once something ancient chose you first. For a moment she did not move at all. Then her eyes filled with water, the strange human way of grieving and loving all at once, and she pulled me in against her, arms far too short to circle my shoulders, and held on anyway. That is not how gifts are supposed to work, she said, laughing and crying at the same time, her voice muffled against my scales. Then dragons, I told her, make new rule. Outside the small window of the cargo hold, the stars had steadied again, calm and endless after the storm. Somewhere far ahead of us was a future I could not yet see, a size I had not yet grown into, and a day I already knew was coming, the way you know winter is coming, even during the warmest days of summer. A day when I would be too large for this small ship, too large for this one small room, too large to be held in two human arms. But I would carry the shape of that pendant in my memory forever, not because I kept it, because I gave it back. Ellie fastened the pendant around her own neck that night, right there in the cargo hold, with the engines humming steady beneath us and the danger of the storm far behind. She never took it off again. Years later, when I had grown taller than the ship's tallest corridor, when my wings could no longer fit through any door on board, she still wore it every single day, tucked beneath her collar, close to her heart. Sometimes, when the nights on New Worlds grew cold and quiet, she would touch it without thinking, the way people do with the things that matter most, and I would remember that first Christmas, the first gift I ever received, the only one I ever chose to give away. Because I had learned, in that one small box wrapped in red paper, The only kind of hoarding worth anything at all, even for a creature built to gather and guard and keep. It was never about what you hold on to. It was about what holds on to you.